Once upon a time, a long time ago, most of the world's population never heard about type 2 diabetes, never really heard about heart disease or strokes or heart attacks. They all existed, of course, but they were not like they didn't have as many people like under these particular spells of these so-called chronic diseases as we do now. However, now, step back maybe 100 years, like 100 years ago, maybe like the 1920s, we didn't hear as many people having type 2 diabetes or heart disease, strokes, all those sort of things. But now we have a huge epidemic on our plate. So right now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about two things that could save your life if you have type 2 diabetes or if you have many other chronic diseases. So the two things I'm going to talk about today is the ketogenic diet, right here, the ketogenic diet, and I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting. Two of my favorite books on the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. The first book is all about the ketogenic diet and the research that's been done, and the book's called The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living. This book is by Dr. Jeff Volek and Dr. Stephen Phinney. These guys are pretty much on the cutting edge with the ketogenic diet. They're kind of they're the kind of the first ones that pretty much started really implementing this on a really large scale. Both Jeff Volek and Stephen Phinney started a company called Virta Health here in San Francisco, and their mission is to reverse 100 million people's diabetes to type 2 diabetes by the year 2025. That seems like an amazingly ambitious goal. I think they're going to be able to do it because the ketogenic diet helps reverse something called insulin resistance. And insulin resistance really is caused by our poor diets that we have today. So the ketogenic diet, what this diet does that helps people that have, say for instance, insulin resistance, which is related to type 2 diabetes, is they go on a low carbohydrate diet. When you go on a low carbohydrate diet, one thing that happens that's really super powerful, it lowers your insulin. And another thing that's powerful, when you get on a low enough carbohydrate diet and you have the right mix of protein and fats, your body goes into a state called ketosis. And what ketosis is, your body starts building the building blocks for adapting to burning fat in an efficient way. And how it does that, it starts building something called, or producing something called ketone bodies. And one of the major ketone bodies it produces is something called beta hydroxybutyrate. And what that beta hydroxybutyrate does, it feeds the brain. Because the brain needs an enormous amount of energy to function. So it's either going to function on carbohydrates, mostly glucose, or if you're fat adapted and you're on a ketogenic diet, your brain could function on a majority ketone bodies, especially beta hydroxybutyrate. So by your brain being on beta hydroxybutyrate, you actually long term, after you've been keto adapted for like several weeks on this particular type of diet, you'll feel more energized. You'll feel like you have more less brain fog. You're gonna feel like you have more energy. Your physical endurance is gonna go up tremendously, and there's all kinds of also really amazing benefits that can occur being on this particular type of diet. Me personally, I've been on this particular type of diet for the last couple of years, and I am going to do some combination of that diet and intermittent fasting probably for the rest of my life because I enjoy it. I feel super good. It's almost like having a superhuman power. That's what I feel like having this particular type of diet. So if you guys want to learn a lot and have like one of probably the better books out there that talks about the ketogenic diet and has a whole plethora of studies to back up the diet, you want to check out this book that I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, is The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living by Jeff Volek and by Stephen Phinney. You pretty much can get that book pretty much anywhere. You can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it, you can probably even get it from your local library, and I would definitely recommend reading this particular book. It's going to give you a lot of insight. So this diet, now we have some great studies and great findings too, that this diet can help reverse type 2 diabetes, which is absolutely fantastic. Right now, there's over 100 million people in the world, or actually there's approaching 500 million people in the world that have type 2 diabetes. And this is, of course, they say it's a chronic disease, and this has lots of complications. You can lose your eyesight with this disease. You can have neuropathy. You can lose the feeling in your feet. You can wind up having an amputation from having an infection. There's all kinds. You can lead to heart disease, stroke. There's all kinds of complications that can lead to from having type 2 diabetes, having this constant high blood sugar, these constant high insulin levels that are just causing havoc on your body and your chemistry and your biochemistry. But anyways, I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is going to be intermittent fasting. So this is another tool, very powerful tool that can enhance and help you reverse your type 2 diabetes. The best book I've read about fasting, that really is, there's probably no better book on the subject matter that I've seen, is The Complete Guide to Fasting by Jason Fung. This guy is a kidney specialist over in Toronto, Canada, and he's been actually treating his patients with intermittent fasting type of protocols, and he's been seeing some tremendous results. Some of his patients have been able to reverse their diabetes altogether and get off all their medication, get off their insulin. Some, of course, are still using some medication, but a lot of them all have to, or all of them pretty much, or most of them are getting off their insulin, which is fantastic. So that's allowing them to lose weight and lowering the risk of heart disease and stroke and some of these other complications that type 2 diabetes has. There's still a lot of people in the world that think that type 2 diabetes is a chronic disease that's irreversible. However, they're showing in his practice that you can reverse type 2 diabetes. And it's also being found in a lot of other places around the country and some other parts of the world where people are taking these approaches by using the ketogenic diet and using intermittent fasting in order to reverse their diabetes. So in essence, what this really does is when you get on a ketogenic diet or you do intermittent fasting, this basically allows your body to burn off all the sugar in your body from your muscle cells and from your liver, and then what happens afterwards, your body wants to start burning fat instead. So that's highly beneficial to your body, because now your body is not going to have the constant spikes of blood sugar or insulin from eating, like, say for instance, a high carbohydrate diet with lots of sugars or cake, candies, ice cream, all that kind of stuff that may raise somebody's insulin or their blood sugars tremendously and cause havoc in their body. So to conclude, these two powerful modalities, using the ketogenic diet and using intermittent fasting, literally could save your life if you have type 2 diabetes, and really many other chronic diseases that I really didn't get to touch on in this video. So hopefully in future videos, please ask me if you have questions about the ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting and how I use them in my own particular life. And if you have even more questions, you want to learn more, please consult these books. These books are excellent. They have some of the best information on these two topics: The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living and The Complete Guide to Fasting. And on future videos, please tell me what you guys maybe would want to see or learn about, and I'll come up with the information and try to help you guys out. And please, if you really like what you're hearing or like what you kind of heard today or what you learned today, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can help more people learn about these two amazing, powerful modalities to help people with their chronic disease such as type 2 diabetes.